In the deep silence of space, a council of alien leaders gathered in a vast chamber carved into the heart of a dying star. Their faces, sharp and cold, reflected the glow of shifting galaxies projected above them. No sound filled the air until one voice finally spoke, heavy with fear. "They are doing it," whispered the elder, his many eyes narrowing. "The humans, they have touched the first law." A murmur spread across the chamber. Some hissed in disbelief, others laughed in nervous denial. The first law was ancient, older than memory itself. It was simple: no species may bend space into a weapon. The law was not just a rule, it was survival. To break it was to risk tearing reality apart. "They are children," one alien sneered, his long fingers curling into fists. "They stumble. They fight, but they are fragile. They cannot break what has stood for ages." The elder's voice turned colder. "And yet, the signals are clear. Energy spikes, gravity bends. They are testing something forbidden, something alive." Across the stars, far from the Council's secret meeting, a hidden laboratory hummed beneath Earth's surface. Inside, human scientists stood around a machine unlike anything built before. Its core pulsed with strange light, bending the very... Dr. Morgan, a woman with tired eyes and a voice trembling between fear and pride, whispered, "It worked." For a moment, space folded. Another scientist, his hands shaking, stared at the readings. "If the galaxy learns of this, they already know." She cut him off. "That's why we must move faster. They will come for us." Above them, screens flickered with warnings of foreign probes orbiting Earth. Humanity was being watched. The Council debated in fury. "Destroy them now," demanded one voice, "before they grow teeth." "They are not ready for war," another argued. "Perhaps we warn them. If they listen, bloodshed can be avoided." But the elder leaned forward, his gaze piercing through the holographic light. "Humans do not listen. They resist. They rebel. They defy. That is their nature. The first law was not made for them. And that is why they are dangerous." Back on Earth, tension spread like fire through hidden bunkers. The message came at last, a warning broadcast across every human channel. A voice, deep and alien, echoed from the sky. "Humans, you play with forces forbidden. Cease your experiments, destroy your weapon, obey the first law, or your world will burn." Silence followed. Cities froze, leaders panicked, and ordinary people looked to the skies in terror. In the underground chamber, the scientists gathered with military officials. A general, his jaw tight with anger, slammed his fist against the table. "They threaten us in our own skies. Do we bow down or do we prepare?" Dr. Morgan's voice was steady now. "They fear us. That is why they came. We have touched something greater than their laws. If we destroy it, we remain prey. If we keep it, we change everything." The room fell quiet. The choice was heavy, but the decision was clear. Humanity would not kneel. In the alien council, tension broke into rage. "They ignored us," shouted one commander. "They prepare instead of surrendering." "They have chosen defiance," the elder murmured. "Then let them learn the cost." Armadas stirred in distant corners of the galaxy. Ships with wings of burning metal rose from alien worlds, engines glowing like suns. They gathered into fleets so large that entire star systems dimmed beneath their shadows. Back on Earth, preparations began. Underground silos opened, satellites whispered secret codes across orbit. The experimental weapon, hidden in a mountain, pulsed stronger than ever. Soldiers stood ready, their eyes fixed on the stars, their hearts pounding with fear and fire. Dr. Morgan stood beside the machine. Her voice was almost a whisper, but every soldier near her heard it. "They think they are gods. They think laws keep them safe. But laws are chains, and humanity was never meant to wear chains." Far above, the first alien ship broke into the solar system. Its hull gleamed like polished stone. Its weapons glowed with ancient power. From its speakers, a final warning filled the void. This is your last chance, humans. End your defiance or be erased. On Earth, silence answered. Silence, and the low hum of a weapon never seen before. The alien commander sneered. So be it. But in that silence, in that heartbeat before the storm, a truth stirred across the galaxy. Humanity had done what no species dared. They had touched the forbidden. They had broken the first law. And for the first time in countless ages, the galaxy trembled. The Elder's voice, carried across the council chambers, faded into a whisper. They are not children. They are something far worse. They are human. The alien patrol ship moved silently through the cold dark of space. Its sleek body shimmered with faint lights, almost invisible against the black void. Inside, alien officers sat in silence, their glowing eyes fixed on strange signals flickering across their screens. One officer leaned closer, his voice sharp. The readings are not false. The humans are bending space. Another hissed in disbelief. Impossible. Their kind crawled into the stars only a few breaths ago. They build crude ships, weak weapons. This is beyond them. But the screen did not lie. Space itself rippled near Earth, small folds flashing in and out like cracks in glass. The commander of the patrol ship rose slowly, his tall form casting a shadow across the chamber. His voice was cold and certain. They have done it. The forbidden weapon is real. At that same moment, deep beneath the mountains of Earth, the human weapon pulsed with strange power. The machine sat in the heart of a steel chamber, surrounded by guards and scientists. Its light shifted, bending the air, making the walls seem to curve and twist. Dr. Morgan stood at the console, her face pale. The energy output is rising faster than expected. One of the younger scientists turned to her, panic in his voice. If we keep testing, we risk tearing the chamber apart. She did not move her eyes from the glowing machine. If we stop, we show weakness, and weakness is what they are waiting for. In orbit above Earth, hidden probes watched. They were not human machines. Their alien eyes recorded every spark, every ripple, and sent the data racing back to the Galactic Council. When the reports reached the Chamber of Leaders, chaos erupted. "They are reckless!" shouted one counselor, his spines rattling with fury. "This is why no species may touch the first law. Do you not see? They will unravel space itself." "They are clever," another answered, his tone almost fearful. "Clever enough to succeed, where others failed. That is what makes them dangerous." The elder sat in silence for a long time before speaking. "Once, long ago, another species tried the same path. Do you remember what happened?" The room grew quiet. Every leader remembered. That species was gone, erased from existence. Their attempt had destroyed not only their own world, but 3 neighboring systems as well. Nothing was left but broken stars. "If the humans continue," the elder said at last, "the same fate will spread again, unless we stop them." Back on Earth, the debate burned in hidden bunkers. Leaders of nations sat around a heavy steel table, their voices sharp with fear. An old president spoke first. "They warned us. We should listen. If we destroy the weapon, maybe they will leave us in peace." A general shook his head. His voice was low but firm. "Peace is a lie. They are afraid of us. If we destroy it, they will know we are weak. And when they know, they will come anyway." Dr. Morgan leaned forward, her eyes shining with determination. "They already see us as a threat. That cannot be undone. But now we hold something they fear. That is our only shield." Silence followed. Her words. No one wanted to admit she was right, but deep inside they all knew. In the skies above, the alien patrol ship sent its final report. The commander's voice echoed through the Galactic Council. "Humans are no longer testing. They are perfecting." The words hit the chamber like thunder. Some leaders shouted for immediate war, others begged for negotiation, but the elder only closed his eyes, as if he could already see the blood that was to come. "They will not stop," he whispered, "because they are human." The patrol ship turned its course, ready to withdraw, but before it could escape Earth's shadow, alarms screamed through its corridors. Space around it bent suddenly, folding into strange shapes. The officers shouted in terror as the ship was caught inside the rippling storm. On Earth, the weapon's light dimmed slowly. Dr. Morgan stared at the readings, her heart racing. Something happened. There was interference, but it was not from us. "Then from where?" asked a soldier. She looked at the screen. For a moment, she thought she saw a shape vanish into the void, as if a ship had been swallowed by space. Itself, she whispered almost to herself, "They were watching us. And now they know." Far away, the Galactic Council received no more signals from the patrol ship. Fear spread through the leaders. If the humans could destroy a vessel without leaving a trace, then the balance of the galaxy was already broken. The elder rose, his voice filled with a grim weight. "It begins. The first law has been defied. War is no longer a choice, it is destiny." Back on Earth, the night sky looked calm, full of stars, but everyone who knew the truth felt the same chill. They had crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. Dr. Morgan stood on a balcony above the underground base, staring at the stars in silence. A soldier stepped beside her. "Do you think they'll come?" he asked softly. She did not look away from the heavens. "They're already on their way." And somewhere, in the cold vastness of space, alien fleets stirred, engines roared to life, shadows spread across starlight. The galaxy was moving, and Earth was no longer just a quiet world. The discovery had been made, and it could never be hidden again. The night sky over Earth seemed quiet, but everyone who knew the truth felt the weight of silence pressing down. In the underground command chamber, leaders from across the world gathered once more. Their faces were pale, their voices heavy with fear. The discovery had changed everything. The aliens were watching, and they would not stay silent for long. A deep rumble echoed through the chamber as the screens flickered to life. A message was coming, carried across the stars. The room fell silent. A towering alien figure appeared in the projection, his eyes glowing like cold fire. His voice was sharp, carrying a weight of command. "Humans, you have defied the first law. This law is older than your world, older than your sun. No species may bend space into a weapon. You have broken what must never be broken. Destroy your machine, cease your work. Submit or face extinction." The voice ended, leaving silence behind. No one moved. The air felt heavy, like stone pressing against their chests. Finally, one of the presidents spoke, his voice trembling. "They mean it. They will destroy us if we do not obey." A general leaned forward, anger burning in his eyes. "If we surrender, they will not spare us. They fear what we have created. Fear does not forgive. Fear kills." Dr. Morgan spoke softly, but her words carried through the chamber. "They do not give us a choice. If we destroy the weapon, we are defenseless. If we keep it, we are hunted. Either way, they will come." The leaders argued fiercely. Some demanded surrender, begging for survival. Others called for war, their voices shaking with pride and desperation. The room grew louder, voices clashing, until the general slammed his hand on the table. "Enough! We must decide. Will humanity kneel, or will humanity fight?" For a moment, no one spoke. The silence was more terrifying than the alien threat. Above Earth, hidden satellites captured a terrifying image. Fleets of alien warships were gathering beyond the edge of the solar system. Dozens, then hundreds, each one larger than the cities. Below, their engines glowed like burning suns. They were coming. In the chamber, the images appeared on the screens. Gasps filled the room. Fear turned into silence once more. Dr. Morgan looked at the fleet, her face pale but her eyes steady. They are not here to negotiate. They are here to erase us. If we are to survive, we must show them that humanity does not break under threats. A soldier in the back spoke nervously. But what if the weapon fails? What if it destroys us instead? Her voice was calm, almost cold. Then at least we fall fighting, not crawling. Far across the galaxy, in the alien council chamber, the leaders watched their fleets assemble. Some were pleased, their voices sharp with pride. The humans will kneel. When they see our strength, they will know they are nothing. But the elder spoke differently. His voice was deep, filled with unease. You do not know humans. They do not kneel. When cornered, they bite. When broken, they rise. That is why they are feared. That is why they are dangerous. The others dismissed him, blinded by their own arrogance. But the elder's words lingered like a shadow. Back on Earth, the human leaders made their choice. The message was sent across every channel, aimed at the stars. The general stood before the cameras, his voice strong, carrying the weight of every nation. To those who threaten us, we hear your warning, but we will not destroy what protects us. We will not bow. If you come for us, know this. Humanity does not die on its knees. We rise. The words echoed across the stars, reaching the ears of the alien fleets. Laughter spread among the commanders, but beneath the laughter, unease began to stir. In the underground base, Dr. Morgan returned to the weapon. It pulsed brighter now, as if it could sense the storm approaching. She placed her hand against the console and whispered, "They think this is only a machine. They do not know what it can do. They will learn." Night passed into day, but no one slept. Soldiers moved through bunkers, loading weapons, checking defenses. Families whispered in their homes, looking at the sky with fear. Children asked if monsters lived beyond the stars. Parents could not answer. Above them, the first alien fleet moved closer. Their ships cut through the void like blades of light. They carried weapons strong enough to shatter planets. Their voices filled the dark. "Earth, you have made your choice. Prepare for silence." In the command chamber, alarms rang. The fleet was near. Leaders stood frozen, faces pale. The general barked orders, his voice breaking the silence. "Activate! Defenses! Prepare the weapon! No one surrenders!" Dr. Morgan stared at the glowing machine, her heart pounding. For a moment she wondered if they had chosen madness. Then she remembered the aliens' threat, and her doubt turned into fire. "They think they are the galaxy's masters," she whispered. "But tonight they will learn what it means to fight humans." The alien fleet entered the outer edge of the solar system, their weapons glowing. They were ready to strike. But far below, on a small blue planet, humanity stood waiting. The threat had been made, the line had been drawn, and in the silence before the storm, the galaxy held its breath. The alien fleet entered the edge of the solar system like a storm of shadows. Hundreds of warships, larger than mountains, spread across the void. Their weapons glowed with ancient power, ready to erase Earth in a single command. The stars themselves seemed dim beneath their presence. On Earth, alarms screamed in every bunker and base. Soldiers moved quickly through steel corridors, preparing weapons that looked small compared to the armada above. Families huddled together in silence, staring at the sky with fear. In the underground command chamber, the giant screens showed the alien ships advancing. The room shook as voices clashed. "They are too many," one leader whispered, trembling. "We cannot win." General Harris stood tall, his voice strong and steady. "Numbers do not decide everything. Strength of will does, and humanity will not bow." Dr. Morgan stood at the console of the experimental weapon, her hands hovering above the controls. The machine pulsed like a beating heart, bending the air around it. She whispered to herself, almost in prayer, "Hold together. Don't fail. As now, above, the alien commander's voice echoed across human channels, cold and merciless. "Earth, this is your final moment. Kneel or burn." The general leaned toward the microphone. His voice carried the weight of every human life. "We kneel to no one. If you strike us, we will strike back." For a heartbeat, silence filled the stars. Then, without warning, the first alien weapon fired. A beam of pure energy, brighter than lightning, tore across space. It slammed into one of Earth's orbital defense stations, shattering it into fire. The sky lit with debris falling through the atmosphere. Gasps filled the command chamber. The leaders froze, but the general shouted, "Fire the weapon!" Dr. Morgan's hand slammed down on the console. The machine roared to life. The ground trembled, and the air twisted as space itself folded. Above the Earth, reality bent like glass under pressure. One of the alien battleships, massive and invincible, drifted into the fold. For a moment, it seemed to stretch, twist, and vanish. Then, silence. When the fold snapped shut, nothing remained of the ship. Not even dust. The chamber erupted with shock. Soldiers cheered, but leaders sat pale with disbelief. Dr. Morgan staggered. Back from the console, her voice shaking. It worked. It actually worked. Above, the alien fleet froze. The commander's eyes widened, his arrogance cracked by fear. One of his mighty ships had been erased in an instant, destroyed by a weapon that should not exist. "Impossible," he hissed. "No one survives the first law." The humans did not wait. The weapon pulsed again, folding space like a trap. This time, the fold snapped open near a cluster of alien cruisers. Space twisted violently, slamming them together before snapping them apart. Two ships broke in half, their pieces spinning into the void. Cheers filled the human bunkers. But the victory was fragile. The alien fleet recovered quickly. Thousands of weapons lit up, firing beams and projectiles toward Earth. The planet shook as explosions lit the skies. Defense stations shattered one by one, satellites burned, and entire cities trembled beneath. The storm. In the chamber, leaders screamed orders, voices drowned by alarms. "Shields failing, losses rising." General Harris gritted his teeth. "Keep firing the weapon. Show them Earth will not fall." Dr. Morgan's fingers danced over the console, but her face turned pale as warnings filled the screens. "The machine is unstable. Too much power, and it will collapse." "We don't have a choice," the general barked. The weapon roared again. Another alien battleship folded into nothingness, swallowed by its own shadow. The alien commander's fleet shook with fear. He snarled at his officers, "Do not retreat. Crush them. They are still only human." But doubt spread among the alien crews. They had been raised to believe the first law was unbreakable, that no species could bend space without dying. And yet, Earth had done it. Back in the human chamber, a soldier shouted, "General, the weapon is overheating." Dr. Morgan's voice broke through the chaos. "If we fire again, it may destroy us along with them." The general looked at her, his jaw tight. "If we stop, we lose. If we fire, maybe we survive. Do it." The room held its breath. Dr. Morgan hesitated, then slammed her hand down. "One more time." The weapon screamed with light. Space above the Earth cracked open wider than before. 3 alien ships were caught inside, their forms twisted, bent, and shattered. When the fold snapped shut, the sky was filled with silence and drifting wreckage, but the machine did not quiet. Its core glowed brighter, shaking violently. Sparks burst from the consoles. Dr. Morgan stumbled back, fear in her eyes. "It's unstable. I can't hold it." Soldiers rushed to shut it down, but the machine's hum only grew louder, like a heartbeat gone wild. The entire chamber shook. General Harris stared at the screen, watching the alien fleet hesitate. For the first time, the mighty armada was unsure. Ships slowed, formations broke. Fear spread through their ranks. The general whispered to himself, "Now they know." Now they fear us." Above, the alien commander clenched his fists, rage burning. In his eyes, he had lost ships, lost pride, lost certainty. But retreat was not an option. "Prepare the full strike," he growled. "We will burn their world to ash." On Earth, Dr. Morgan and her team fought to control the weapon. Sparks flew, alarms wailed, and the machine pulsed dangerously. She looked up, sweat running down her face. If it fails now, it could take half the planet with it. The general placed a hand on her shoulder. His eyes were cold, steady. "Then we hold. Humanity holds." The alien fleet shifted, preparing to unleash their strongest weapons. Earth braced for the storm. The weapon pulsed like a heart ready to explode, and in the silence before the next strike, the galaxy itself seemed to wait. The alien fleet tightened its grip around Earth, their weapons glowing like suns, ready to end the planet in fire. Yet they hesitated. They had seen what no one believed possible, humans folding space itself into a weapon. Fear now spread like cracks through their perfect formation. In the underground chamber, chaos reigned. The experimental machine shook violently, sparks flying from its core. Soldiers tried to stabilize the systems, while Dr. Morgan shouted over the alarms. "It's unstable. If we fire again without control, it could tear apart everything. Us, them, and half the sky." General Harris stood firm, his jaw locked. "Then we adapt. Humanity always adapts." He turned to his officers. "Contact the fleet. We use every weapon, every trick, every stone if we must. Show them what human fury looks like." Above Earth, the last surviving human ships moved into position. Compared to the alien armada, they looked like ants before giants. But these ants carried teeth. Stealth fighters, cloaked in black, slipped between massive cruisers, firing missiles into vulnerable joints. Old satellites were repurposed into kamikaze drones, slamming themselves against alien shields. Even space junk, guided by emergency thrusters, became deadly shrapnel. On board one alien cruiser, alarms rang as debris tore across its shields. An officer shouted, "They use garbage as weapons! How is this possible?" The commander snarled, slamming his clawed hand against the console. "Because they are desperate. Crush them before they spread their madness further." But the madness was spreading. Human ships darted unpredictably, never following patterns the aliens could predict. Instead of retreating when damaged, they charged forward, ramming into larger vessels with suicidal bravery. Explosions lit the void like fireworks, shocking even the most hardened alien warriors. In the council chamber far away, leaders watched. The battle unfold through shimmering projections. One counselor hissed in disbelief, "They should be broken. Instead, they are tearing at us like wild beasts." The elder's voice was grim. "This is what happens when you corner humans. They do not fade, they burn." Back on Earth, the experimental weapon pulsed dangerously. Dr. Morgan fought with trembling hands to stabilize its core. Sweat dripped down her face. "I can redirect the energy into smaller folds, short bursts, not full collapse. It will be weaker but safer." The general nodded. "Do it. Even a spark can burn a giant." Moments later, the weapon fired again, not as a massive strike, but as a series of sharp folds that snapped open and shut like jaws. Alien fighters caught in the ripples spun out of control, crashing into their own fleets. One cruiser was sliced in half, its remains glowing as they fell. Into the void, a soldier cheered, "It's working!" But Morgan's face stayed tense. "Not enough. They still outnumber us 100-1. The general's voice hardened. "Then we show them what numbers can't measure." Across the world, humanity rose. Hidden bases activated old weapons from past wars. Missiles once meant for Earth's enemies now launched into space, joining the fight. Civilian engineers hacked into abandoned satellites, turning them into improvised weapons. Humanity was no longer just defending. They were lashing out. On the alien flagship, the commander roared in rage as ship after ship fell to crude yet brutal tactics. "This is madness. No species fights this way," his second-in-command whispered, fear creeping into his voice. "Perhaps that is why no species has ever beaten them." The commander struck him down, but his own eyes betrayed doubt. Back on Earth, Morgan and the general stood over the console, their eyes locked on the weapon's glowing core. The machine pulsed like a wild beast straining against its cage. Morgan whispered, "It's alive in a way. It reacts to us, to pressure, to fear. It is human as much as machine." The general frowned. "Then we make it fight like us." She hesitated. "If I push it beyond limit, it could consume everything, our ships, our cities, the planet itself." His gaze did not waver. "And if you don't, they will consume us anyway." She closed her eyes, then pressed her hand to the console. "Then, let's make them regret ever coming." The weapon screamed to life, folds snapping wider and sharper. Space itself seemed to twist around Earth. Asteroids from the belt were pulled through sudden cracks in reality, slingshotting at impossible speeds toward the alien fleet. Massive rocks slammed into ships, crushing them like eggshells. The galaxy watched in horror as humans used the stars themselves as weapons. In the council chamber, one alien leader shouted, "This cannot be! They bend the galaxy like clay!" The elder whispered, almost to himself, "The first law is broken, and now the galaxy belongs to those without fear." Above Earth, the alien fleet faltered. Ships turned away, some retreating, others firing wildly in panic. But the commander of the flagship refused to yield. His voice thundered across the stars. "Humans, you are insects who dare bite a god. You cannot survive forever." General Harris responded with cold fire in his words. "Maybe not forever, but long enough to bury you." Dr. Morgan triggered another strike. The weapon folded space around the flagship itself. For a moment the giant vessel shimmered, bending like a reflection on water. Cracks formed along its hull. The commander screamed in fury and fear as the fold snapped tighter. Then, in a blinding flash, the flagship tore apart, scattering burning fragments across the void. Silence followed. For a breath, no one moved. Then cheers erupted through the human bunkers. Soldiers embraced, leaders wept, families cried in relief. But Dr. Morgan did not smile. Her eyes stayed fixed on the console. The weapon's core glowed brighter than ever, shaking violently. She whispered, "It's not over. The machine, it's changing." The general placed a hand on her shoulder. His voice was low. "Then we will change with it." Above them, the shattered fleet began to retreat, broken and afraid. Humanity had struck back with fury no one expected, yet deep in space, countless more ships waited, and the war was far from done. Earth had won a battle, but the storm of the galaxy was only beginning. The battlefield above Earth had gone silent. Burning wrecks of alien ships drifted through space, their flames glowing faintly against the stars. The enemy flagship was gone, torn apart by the strange weapon that had defied every law of the galaxy. Yet no one on Earth celebrated fully. They knew silence did not mean safety. In the underground command chamber, General Harris stood tall, though exhaustion lined his face. Screens flickered around him, showing fragments of the battle. Soldiers whispered, doctors rushed, and engineers tried to contain the unstable weapon at the center of it all. Dr. Morgan's voice cut through the noise. "It's still changing. The machine, it's evolving. Each strike rewrites its own design. If it keeps going, I can't predict what it will become." Harris looked at her, his tone steady. "Then we make it our voice. If the galaxy wants to hear us, let it hear through this." She froze. "You want to use it to send a message?" The general nodded. "Not just a message, a warning." Above Earth, alien survivors regrouped in the shadows of space. They were wounded, but their numbers still stretched far beyond human fleets. Commanders argued in harsh voices. They are weak, one planet against an empire. We must strike again before they rise further. Another, more cautious, hissed, "You saw what they did. If one world can bend the stars, what happens when they spread? We cannot risk total war." Back on Earth, the debate echoed. Some officers urged defense, hiding behind their victory. Others demanded attack, to strike while fear still held the enemy. One young soldier shouted, "They will return with more ships. We should finish them now before they regroup." But an older captain replied, "No, we don't need endless war. We need them to understand that humanity will never kneel." General Harris raised his hand, silencing the room. "Then that is what we will tell them." Dr. Morgan hesitated at the console. The machine glowed like a living heart, its pulses shaking the air. "If I connect this to the galactic channels, the message won't just be heard. It will be felt. It could imprint fear itself into their minds." The general's eyes were cold. "Good. Let fear speak for us." She took a breath, then placed her hand on the controls. The machine roared, folds opening across the void like rippling scars. Every alien ship, every council chamber across the stars, every hidden listening post. Suddenly, all of them were connected by a single voice. General Harris spoke, his words carried on waves of folded space. "This is Earth. You came to make us bow. You came with fire, with fleets, with the promise of chains. But we did not break. We will never break. You see us as fragile, as small, as weak, but when pushed to the edge, we are the storm that even the stars fear." Across the galaxy, leaders shivered. Warriors who had never known defeat lowered their eyes. Harris's voice cut through their silence. "Do not mistake our mercy for weakness. We do not seek war. But if you bring it, we will fight in ways you cannot imagine. You call us dangerous, you are right. You call us reckless, you are right. You call us mad, you are right. But we are also free, and we will remain free." The machine pulsed stronger. For a moment, every alien mind felt it, the raw emotion of humanity. Rage, grief, courage, and a fire that would never be tamed. Many fell back in fear, others in awe. But as the message spread, the weapon shuddered, sparks rained, and the chamber shook. Dr. Morgan cried out, "It's overloading! If it collapses now, it could consume half the planet." Panic spread, but Harris's face remained calm. He looked at her and spoke softly. "Then shut it down, Doctor. We've said what we needed to say." Her hands flew across the console, fighting the roaring machine. The energy screamed louder, as though it resisted, unwilling to end. Morgan slammed her palm on the emergency cutoff. With a violent flash, the weapon went dark, silence. The chamber was filled only with the sound of human breathing. Slowly, one by one, reports came in. Alien fleets were pulling back. Council channels had gone silent. For the first time in history, the galaxy was afraid of Earth. The young soldier whispered, almost to himself, "We did it. We made them fear us." Dr. Morgan leaned against the console, exhausted. Her voice was weak but steady. "Fear will keep them away for now, but fear is a fragile shield. They may return stronger, united by terror instead of pride." General Harris placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then let them come. We'll be ready. Humanity has been underestimated for too long. Now they know." Outside, Earth turned slowly, beneath the stars. Its cities bore scars, its people carried grief, but its spirit burned brighter than ever. In the distant council chambers of alien empires, silence lingered. Some demanded vengeance, others whispered of treaties, but all agreed on one thing: the galaxy had changed, and somewhere deep in the shadows of space, the broken fragments of the weapon's energy flickered faintly, like embers waiting to reignite. The final message of Earth had been spoken, but the story of humanity was only beginning.